The sky is vast and the wilderness is vast. The wind blows and the grass is low, revealing cows and sheep. How many people envy the life of grazing? At the junction of the three sides, a ranch gradually became known to the world. Fierce dogs, cattle herds, Simmental cattle, Limousin cattle, little-tailed Han sheep, Boer goats, Mongolian horses, Xinjiang horses, and so on. Chapter 1. Pastures in remote areas. You are listening at Novel Full.audio. Batadoji stood in his own ranch, busy with livestock with his family. There was not much labor at home, so the whole family went to battle together. There are many types of livestock in Batadoji's family, including several types of cattle alone, including the unique high-altitude consumption cattle, as well as beef cattle such as Simmental cattle and Limousin cattle, as well as cows. There are also several breeds of sheep, including small-tailed Han sheep, Boer goats, Dubois sheep, black goats, yellow sheep, and so on. There are also goat sheep and several breeds of horses, including Arabian horses, Xinjiang horses, Mongolian horses, and so on. Dogs include Tibetan Mastiff, Mongolian Mastiff, and various sheepdogs. Of course, there aren't many livestock of each breed, but it's hard to keep up with the variety. So the total number of livestock in Batadoji's family is also quite large, with about 500 cows and sheep each, about 50 horses, about 20 dogs, and about 30 camels. Because of the special location of the pasture in Batadoji's family, which is located at the junction of the three provinces of Xizang, Qinghai, and Xinjiang, because it is remote, no one wants to come here. In those years, Batadoji's father gave up choosing fertile pasture and chose to develop here. Because no one wants to come here, the pasture here is very large in area. At the beginning, the pasture in Batadoji's family had an area of 80,000 acres, but no one wanted to come here. The desertification of the surrounding land was also becoming more and more severe. After a few trips, my father granted the entire 360,000 acres of land to the Batadoji family. Therefore, the area of my own pasture is very huge, spanning 3 provinces, and the average area of each province is similar. Batadoji's parents are restless and very creative. Their ranch spans a large area across 3 provinces, with various environments including grasslands, slopes, mountains, forests, sandy areas, lakes, and more. After years of trying by my parents, the total number of livestock in my family is not very large, but the variety is increasing. And parents do have a set of ways to cultivate livestock. Although their total number of livestock is not large now, the quality is getting higher and higher. The small total number of livestock is also due to the limited labor force at home. Batadoji's family has made significant profits over the years due to the high-quality livestock raised by their parents. Batadoji, as usual today, is riding his horse and preparing to drive the cattle and sheep back into the enclosure. Because his ranch is huge, he is not worried about the cattle and sheep running out of the ranch. Usually, the cattle and sheep only arrive at the corresponding place in the morning, leaving the shepherd dog to watch and guard against wild animals. At night, when the sun sets, the shepherd dog will drive the livestock back into the enclosure, and Batadoji's task is to take a rough look around to see if there are any livestock and wild animals that have not been circled. Batadoji, who quickly turned around, came to the farthest lake on the ranch due to his bad mood today. Batadoji rarely comes here. Get off the horse and let the horse eat grass and drink water freely. Batadoji sat on a huge rock by the lake, thinking about the bustling world outside and looking forward to it. I have been living in a pastoral area since I was young, and I yearn for the bustling world outside. I want to see the world in a big city, but I have encountered opposition from my whole family. Especially now that the ranch is entering the breeding season for livestock, everyone is too busy to touch the ground. But I have grown up and am tired of living in such a pastoral area day after day. I have not yet gone to the big city to see the world. I haven't experienced the life of extravagance yet. Living in pastoral areas day after day, year after year, there is no one I want to see. But his parents didn't agree, so there was nothing he could do. Batadoji, who was in a bad mood, was very irritable and sad. I can only come to this lake to relieve my sad mood, because even if I want to find someone to confide in, there is no one to find. A closed pastoral environment, it's hard to see a single person a year. Batadoji, who was feeling increasingly frustrated and sad, decided to take off his clothes and plunged into the lake, enjoying a leisurely swim. Perhaps his mood would improve. Batadoji, who was swimming in the lake, suddenly saw a shiny object flickering at the bottom of the lake. Without much thought, he plunged into the bottom of the lake and picked it up. It turned out to be an antique ring with an emerald on it. Swimming to the edge of the lake and onto a large stone, I took out my ring and carefully examined it. The ring was very beautiful, and at first glance, it was a high-end, atmospheric, and upscale item. Batadoji liked it very much and put it directly on his hand. After playing with it, it was very beautiful, much more beautiful than the ring he had originally worn. The feeling of depression and sadness eased to some extent. Suddenly, the finger wearing the ring felt a sharp pain, and then Batadoji saw that the ring on his finger had disappeared. What is the situation? Are you feeling dizzy? Batadoji rubbed his eyes hard and then used his hand to touch the finger on the ring, and there was really nothing left. Did you have an illusion just now? There's no such thing as a ring at all. But I clearly and truly picked up a ring and put it on my hand, right? I can't figure it out, it's getting late. Watching the sky gradually darken, Batadoji suddenly felt cold all over and trembled. He didn't wait for the water on his body to dry, so he put on his clothes and let out a very loud whistle with his hand in his mouth. With a whistle, the horse, who was bowing its head to graze in the distance, ran towards Batadoji. When the horse came over, Batadoji didn't say a word and flipped over to get on the horse. With both hands on the reins and legs between the horse's belly, he lightly let out a drive. The horse scattered its hooves and ran towards home. Soon, Batadoji returned home. His parents and sisters were worried about him because he had been out for a long time. Now it's a relief to see him back safely. Duoji, why did you stay out for so long today and come back? Is there any situation? Auntie asked. Auntie is Tibetan, so she has always called Batadoji Duoji. Batadoji didn't want his family to worry, and he was even more afraid that the ring was just a hallucination of his own imagination, so he didn't dare to talk to his family. Besides, his family didn't allow him to go to the big city, and he really hadn't figured it out yet. So he spoke up. Auntie, there's nothing to do. I'm not in a good mood, so I went to the largest lake on the ranch for a walk. My family heard from Batadoji that he was in a bad mood, and they all knew what he was doing, so they didn't speak again. As long as my mom spoke, she said. All right, wash your hands and eat. Today I made your favorite handlebar meat. Batadoji. I don't have much appetite today. Mom, you can eat first. Don't wait for me. I'll go see the dog. As Batadoji spoke, he walked out of the room and arrived at the shepherd dog. More than 20 shepherd dogs saw Batadoji coming over and excitedly gathered around them. Batadoji played with the dogs for a while, then fed them, and their mood finally eased. His parents and sisters looked at Batadoji, who had gone out together, and felt helpless. Dad. This little rabbit is becoming increasingly immature now. Auntie. All right, Duoji will figure it out on his own. Let him stay for a while. A few people no longer waited for Batadoji and began to take care of their own meals. After finishing their meals, they still had a lot of work to do. The livestock on the ranch had entered the breeding period, and now it was the busiest time, so there was not much time for them to waste. Chapter 2. Ranch System. You are listening at novelfull.audio. A few people hurriedly finished their meal and then rushed to the cowshed to start busy. Batadoji also came to help. Although he was in a bad mood, he still had to do the work on the ranch. Moreover, Batadoji was naturally strong and was the most versatile hand in the ranch. He could handle several people on his own. With the help of Batadoji, the family achieved remarkable results throughout the night. After this period of effort, suitable cows, ewes, mares, camels, and others in the pasture have successfully conceived. Now, only calves, lambs, horses, and camels are waiting for their birth. During this period, special attention should be paid to not let the mother animals be harmed or frightened, otherwise it is easy to cause miscarriage of the mother animals. The family, who had been busy all night, finally dragged their exhausted bodies back home and went to bed towards dawn. The family lived in a brick and tile room, with one for their parents, one for their sister, and one for themselves. When they returned to their room, Batadoji, who was exhausted, went to bed and didn't even take off his clothes. But the parents who returned to the room were still discussing Batadoji's issue. Father. Batu was born a child of the grassland, he is the all-around hand on the pasture. We need to dispel his idea of leaving the pasture. Mother. Duoji is indeed a rare and helpful helper on the ranch, but as the child grows up and has his own ideas, we need to guide him slowly and not be too tough. He has never been to a big city before, and young people are probably on the rise. Maybe in a few days, he will figure it out on his own. Father. That's best. The ranch can't do without him. Mother. I hope everything continues to get better and I can return to my peaceful life. The two didn't say much either. After a brief conversation, they couldn't resist fatigue and fell asleep. Speaking of Batadoji's side, as soon as he lay in bed and closed his eyes, his consciousness immediately entered a space. I saw that this space was not large, and the end could be seen at a glance. It was the size of a football field, with a piece of land, a well, an unknown tree, and nothing else inside. Ding, welcome the host to the system space. Ding, this system is an all-around farmer and rancher system aimed at helping hosts become all-around farmers and ranchers. Ding, this system has 4 basic abilities in terms of space. 1. It contains 10 initial pieces of land that can be planted, 1 piece of land per acre in the system, which can be used to plant various agricultural products. Note. The system space contains mysterious temporal and spatial forces, and primary crops mature overnight. Let the youth strive to become a farmer with all 4 qualities. 2. It contains a well with unlimited well water. Note. This well water is rich in various mysterious powers, which can effectively promote the growth and development of organisms without any side effects. Water is the source of life. If young people drink well water more, they will find that your small insects will also turn into big birds. 3. Contains 1 primary evolutionary fruit tree, which matures once a month and bears 365 fruits each time. Note. This fruit contains incredible power that can lead to biological evolution. Young man, this fruit can make you even more perfect. 4. It contains a system mall that unlocks related items based on the system level. Note. There is everything in the system mall. Young man, try to unlock a higher level, the system will take you to pretend and fly. The sudden voice startled Batadoji, and it was directly in his mind. After hearing what the voice said, Batadoji looked incredulous. Did you touch your golden finger? System flow. Planting space. Different spaces. Isn't this oneself about to take off? Batadoji also goes online to read novels during his free time, so he understands the drama of the protagonist rising up and pretending to be forced to face him. Speaking of which, my golden finger feels a bit powerful. Firstly, have your own planting space and mature in 1 day. Bully. Secondly, there is a well that can promote biological growth, mainly biological growth. Bully crass. The most important thing is to be able to turn a small bug into a big bird. May I ask, which man can resist such temptation? The third one is an evolutionary fruit tree, a fruit that can evolve. The little cow enters the house. The cow is pushing home. Finally, there is a system mall. Although corresponding items can only be unlocked by level, the mall is the biggest cheat. With this analysis, I am about to take off. This is completely complementary to our own ranch. What big city are you still going to? In the future, I will develop in the ranch. Whoever is saying to leave the ranch is in a hurry with me. Open the system mall. Batadoji shouted loudly. Ding, the host doesn't need to shout out loud, just think about opening the system mall in your mind. Sweat, I just lost my pride. Batadoji quickly thought to open the system mall in his heart, and saw a virtual screen in front of him. There were no imagined dazzling products inside, only a few isolated ones. The first type of product is grass, which simply displays these two words. A small line of introduction appears when the finger is placed on it. This grass is the ordinary grass in the host's ranch, without any difference. This system is a bit tricky. The second product is corn, and when you put your finger on it, as expected, it is regular corn. The third type of product is Chinese cabbage, and there are no more. Yes, there are only 3 types of goods, and they are the most common type of crop. Batadoji shouted angrily into the air, "System, come out, how come this is the most ordinary crop? How do you get high-end goods?" Ding, once again remind the host that there is no need to shout when communicating with this system, as it would appear to be too useless. Just think about it in your heart. In addition, this system is currently only the most basic 0 level, so the system mall currently only has the most basic 3 crops. Planting these crops in the system space only takes 24 hours a day to mature and harvest, which is the biggest drawback of this system. Higher level crops need to be unlocked by upgrading the system, which requires energy points. Batadoji. How do I obtain energy points? Ding, as long as the host plants crops in the system planting space, they can obtain corresponding energy points. Basic crops can mature on 10 acres of land and obtain some energy points at once. Batadoji. 10 acres of land only have 1 energy point per planting. So little. How many energy points does it take to upgrade the system to level 1? Ding, upgrading this system from level 0 to level 1 requires 100 energy points. 100 points, mature once a day, can earn some energy points, which means it takes 100 days for the system to upgrade to level 1. Not too long, acceptable. Batadoji continued to ask the system, what changes have occurred after the system upgrade? Ding, after the upgrade of this system, the planting space will first increase. At level 0, there will be 10 acres of land, and at level 1, there will be 100 motherlands. Secondly, the mysterious power of the well water and the fruits on the fruit tree will be strengthened. In addition, there will be many more products in the system mall. Chapter 3. Initial Acquisition System. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Batadoji. System, in the future, if you want to enter the system, do you need to wait until you fall asleep in your dream to enter the system? Ding, no need. The host enters the system for the first time, making it easier for the host to accept, and then chooses to enter in the dream. In the future, the host can enter the system space anytime and anywhere. Batadoji. Oh, that's not bad. By the way, when I enter the system space, am I missing from the real world outside? Ding, it's not that. It's just that the host's mind enters the system and the body sleeps soundly outside. Oh, that's best, otherwise my family will suddenly come to my room and worry if they see me missing. Batadoji. By the way, system, how do I get the goods in the mall? Is it real-world money? Ding, the basic crop system provides free seeds, while products of level 1 and above require energy points to purchase. Batadoji. There is a saying that goes, Mom sells batches, I don't know if I should say it or not. Fortunately, basic crop seeds are provided for free, otherwise the system would have become a decoration if one had no energy points. Without saying a word, Batadoji first clicked to purchase 10 bags of corn seeds. Anyway, they were free, and there wasn't much corn left in his own ranch. After buying the seeds, Batadoji faced difficulties. He planted 10 acres of corn on his own, but when should he plant 10 acres of corn on his own? System, do I need to do it myself to grow crops? Ding, the host does not need to do it personally in the system space. Just aim at the land to be planted, throw out the seeds, and it will be automatically planted. When harvesting, just wave your hand. Batadoji breathed a sigh of relief in his heart. It's okay, otherwise he wouldn't be able to get busy even if he was exhausted. Then Batadoji threw 10 bags of seeds into the 10-acre open space, and saw that each bag of seeds accurately landed on the corresponding land. Then the bags disappeared, and the seeds were evenly distributed on the land. Batadoji was amazed and asked the system, "Is that all right?" Ding, the host needs to water the seeds to survive, and the crops need to be watered a total of 3 times in one growth cycle. Batadoji came to the well and looked down at the clear water. He scooped up some well water with his hand and took a sip. His intuition was incredibly sweet, refreshing and delicious. I have never tasted such delicious water before. Understood, farming is so magical, watering should also be fine. Batadoji thought of waving his hand directly at the well, and a large amount of well water flew out of the well and onto the land, evenly sprinkling all of it. Soon, Batadoji saw tender sprouts emerging from the ground, which was amazing. As long as we wait until this time tomorrow, we can harvest. Batadoji came to the bottom of the fruit tree and looked at the bare branches. There was nothing. Didn't he say he would bear fruit once a month? Does it also require watering? Thinking that Batadoji had also watered the fruit tree, the tree that had been watered had visible flowers and tender leaves. However, it takes a month to mature, and then you must taste this fruit well. Coming out of the system space, I slept until dawn, and by the time Batadoji woke up, my family had been busy for a long time. Don't worry about anything else, enter the system space first and make sure it's not your dream last night. The corn seedlings in the system space have already grown more than a meter high. Batadoji waved his hand and watered them again, and he also drank some well water. The system said that drinking this well water can make a small bug bigger than a bird. So drink more. After coming out of the system space and washing up briefly, Batadoji quickly led his shepherd dog to drive the cattle and sheep to the corresponding places, because his livestock were of different breeds. For example, a herd of consuming cattle had to be separated from a herd of meat cattle, and cows of different breeds had to be separated, otherwise it would be easy to fight or other things. Sheep herds are the same. Goats and sheep need to be separated, and different breeds also need to be separated. Cattle and sheep are grazed separately, and shepherds can only guard them separately. Horses and camels don't need to be particularly separated, just rush to the pasture together. After all the livestock were driven to the pasture to graze, Batadoji came to a forest in the pasture today. This forest is a precious tree planted by Batadoji's parents. Basically, there are some well-known trees here, which were found by Batadoji's parents with great effort and cost. After transplantation, they are carefully taken care of, but due to environmental and climate reasons, they are mostly in the type that is already difficult to survive. Batadoji thought of the magical well water in the system space and wanted to try and see if he could save these trees. Take out a prepared bucket, and in the system space, Batadoji can freely control the well water. However, once the well water is out of the system space, Batadoji cannot control it anymore. This is also the role of Batadoji's formal experimental system ability in the real world. In fact, he is very nervous inside. I don't know if the well water is so magical, able to revive these trees. Batadoji watered each of these trees with a bucket of well water from the system space. There were quite a few trees, and several hours had passed since the last one was watered. Fortunately, Batadoji was in good health, and if an average person could not complete this task at once. Batadoji, who was busy watering his business, didn't even have time to have lunch. Fortunately, when he went out in the morning, he ate some hand-grabbed meat prepared by his mother. Otherwise, his body would not have been able to carry it up to now. Turning around, I came to the first tree that had been watered and carefully observed if there were any changes. This was a ginkgo tree, about the size of a bowl, about 2 or 3 meters high. After watching for a while, no miracle happened. The ginkgo tree had no intention of revitalizing itself, it was still the same as before. Think about it, it may take some time. After all, well water is not divine water, and it is impossible to do something immediately after watering. Let's continue watering for a period of time and see. Look at the weather, the sun is about to set, and the cattle and sheep should all return to the circle. Drive them back on horseback. When Batadoji drove the sheep back to the sheepfold, his family had already cleaned the sheepfold clean and laid new grass on it. The entire sheepfold had no significant odor, but a fragrant scent of grass. Then Batadoji rushed back to his own nest several times with other herds of cattle, horses, camels, and sheepdogs. Taking advantage of his family's lack of attention, Batadoji replaced the well water in the system space with all the livestock, hoping for a good change. However, it is true that all animals love to drink well water, which caused Batadoji to feed the well water several times. After everything was done, Batadoji was already starving and pressed his chest against his back. When the family returned home, their mother brought the already prepared dinner to the table, and the family had a sumptuous dinner together. Whether it's Tibetan or Mongolian, the daily life in pastoral areas is mainly based on meat. Due to inconvenient transportation being far from the city, vegetables and fruits have always been scarce resources, and only meat is enough. Chapter 4. Maturation of Corn. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Batadoji's parents were originally worried that their son would be in a bad mood because he was going to a big city, but seeing his son enjoying himself like before, there was no displeasure and they felt relieved. Their mood also improved because of Batadoji's appearance. The family happily finished their meal, took care of a circle of cows, sheep, horses, camels, and dogs, which took some time to complete. In the end, they fed the dog well water again. Batadoji returned to his room and immediately entered the system space while lying in bed. The corn ripened until after 4 a.m., and because he had planted it late last night, he had no choice but to wait. After watering the well again, Batadoji looked bored at the things inside the space. There are only a few things, and there isn't much to look at. Batadoji has already asked the system that things from the real world cannot enter the system space temporarily. Batadoji is thinking about how to better utilize the system as a cheat, and feels like there are many ideas and distractions. Forget it, we need to eat our meals one by one, and the road is also a step-by-step process. We still need to focus on the existing resources of the ranch to develop the system's capabilities. Some other ideas need to be tried again after the ranch develops. Quickly, Batadoji exited the system space and fell asleep in bed. Today, watering those trees all day, he was really exhausted. The next day, at dawn, Batadoji woke up. The good lifestyle he had developed over the years prevented him from sleeping in. The first thing I did when I opened my eyes was to quickly enter the system space and look at a yellow cornfield. Batadoji waved his hand, and all the corn seemed to be magic cast, neatly stacked on the field. With another wave, all the corn kernels were separated, bag by bag neatly packed. After the corn kernels were separated, the corn cobs and corn stalks in the field quickly turned into fertilizer and sprinkled it on the field. Ding! Congratulations to the host for successfully planting and harvesting 10 acres of corn, gaining a little bit of energy. Ding! The host has obtained some energy points, and the energy point system has officially started. We hope the host can continue to work hard and improve the system level as soon as possible. Then the virtual screen appeared, with a line of text in the bottom right corner displaying energy point. 1 inch. Looking at the pitiful one, Batadoji was also quite speechless. Forget it, as long as you keep working hard, there will eventually be bread. After drinking some well water and washing up, Batadoji went to the pasture reservoir and replaced all the drinking water with the well water in the system space. He also poured all the water that cows and sheep drank into the well water. After completing these tasks, Batadoji returned home, and his mother had already prepared a sumptuous breakfast: butter tea, cheese, fried rice, and of course, beef and mutton. Herders usually only eat 2 meals a day due to their grazing lifestyle. They don't usually cook specifically for lunch, but instead eat fried foods with beef and mutton oil and drink some oil tea. It was still early this morning, and my mom hadn't made breakfast yet. Batadoji took the initiative to make breakfast, and soon the meat aroma had drifted out. I used well water in the system space for cooking today, which seems to have a particularly sweet taste. After a while, parents and sisters got up one after another. They were surprised to see that Batadoji's breakfast was almost finished. Is this no longer awkward? You should know that a few days ago, due to going to a big city and the whole family's collective opposition, Batadoji has been showing signs of lethargy and a bad mood for several days. Being able to make breakfast this morning means it's ready. Or does this indicate a resolute attitude to leave? The whole family looked at Batadoji in disbelief, not knowing what the situation was. Breakfast was ready, and the family sat together to start eating. After the whole family had finished it together, Batadoji said he had something to say. His parents looked at each other and thought to themselves that it was indeed the case. The whole family was waiting for Batadoji to speak. After a few days of careful consideration, I have decided to stay at the ranch and develop our family's ranch well. I am no longer planning to go to big cities for development. Alright, I have finished speaking, let's start eating. The whole family was pleasantly surprised as they watched Batadoji pick up his bowl to eat. Aunt was even more happy and wiped away her tears. Dad was also very excited. When the whole family heard Batadoji's decision, they all showed great joy. Batadoji also confirmed this morning that the corn planted in the system space is real and can be eaten outside, just like ordinary corn. Only then did I tell my family about my decision. Joking, after obtaining the system, I am destined to become the most powerful rancher in the world. How can I leave the ranch? I won't leave the ranch even if I kill myself now. The whole family happily finished breakfast together. The sisters cleaned up the tableware. Their parents and Batadoji came to the circle and began to get busy, doing preparations before grazing. After feeding the shepherd dog a meal, Batadoji began leading the shepherd dog to drive cows, sheep, horses, and camels out of the pen and towards the pastoral area. Along the way to the corresponding place, protected by a shepherd dog, Batadoji rode his horse to the forest that was watered yesterday. Upon closer inspection, I noticed that some of these trees were truly revitalized. The branches of the first watered ginkgo tree sprouted small and tender buds. Great! The well water in the system space is useful for these trees. What are you waiting for? Just keep watering. We must bring all these trees back to life. Take out the bucket from yesterday and start watering. After watering a few trees, it stops. Looking at the vast forest in front of me, I am really stupid. When will I have to water each tree like this? It's just as exhausting as yesterday. I don't need buckets to come out one by one, can I just let the water appear on the trees on the ground? I'm so stupid myself. Why didn't you expect it yesterday? I just thought that once the well water flows out of the system, I won't be able to control it myself. I didn't expect this, but I just realized that changing the water in the reservoir in the morning can be done this way. Without hesitation, water the big business directly. The well water is poured directly on the trees, which is indeed much faster. Finally, why do we need to water each tree one by one? Why not water them one by one? Sure enough, watering is faster. Quickly, all the trees were watered. After watering this forest, seeing that the nearby land is relatively dry, why not ride a horse and water the land again? I saw Batadoji running like a fountain, all the places he passed by were watered once. So, all the land in the nearby pastoral area was sprayed with well water from the system space. I don't know what the effect will be. Then Batadoji arrived at the nearest small lake to his home. Looking at this small lake, the water was only about 1/3. Without saying a word, he injected well water into the system space towards the lake. Chapter 5. Improving Pastures. You are listening at Novel Full.audio. The lake doesn't look big, but it still takes a lot of time to fill it with water. Batadoji tried his best and poured it for over half an hour before finally filling the lake to about 80%, but it was enough. There are some small fish and shrimp in the lake, and Batadoji mainly wants to see how well water affects these organisms, in preparation for future pasture layout. After filling the small lake with water, Batadoji irrigated all the grazing areas for the livestock with well water. By the way, I also made all the livestock drink the well water. Speaking of which, these animals are really amazing. They seem to know that the well water is good, and they all rush to drink it. At noon, I ate some beef jerky with the well water. In the afternoon, Batadoji came to a sandy area in the ranch. The desertification of this sandy area is not particularly serious, and the real desert of the ranch is still a bit far away. A round trip is too time-consuming. I will go another day. Today, I will try to see if the well water in the system space has any effect on controlling the sandy area. Without saying a word, Batadoji directly activated the fountain mode towards this sandy land. Anyway, there were countless wells in the system space, and Batadoji was not polite, just a burst of water. Watering this sandy land from around 1 p.m. until the sun sets, the shepherd dog has been herding cattle and sheep back into the circle. Batadoji didn't care about anything else and focused on watering this sandy land. After watching the sun set completely, he stopped and rode his horse back home. The changes in the sand cannot be immediate, and the effect can only be seen through time. Back home, Dad asked Batadoji why he came back so late. Batadoji said, "Today I went to the forest where you planted and watered it with lake water. Then I trimmed it a bit to see if it could be revived." Dad. Hey, don't worry about that forest. Let's just treat it as tuition fees paid by your mom and me. I was fooled into spending a lot of money on buying so many trees, but none of them survived. Forget it, I'll go and chop them for firewood after a while. Auntie also spoke up next to her and said, "We just thought too simply. We wanted to plant an artificial forest in our own ranch, which can prevent sand and consolidate soil and water. The key is that these trees are precious and valuable, and they can also leave you a considerable amount of wealth in the future for future needs. Who knew it would be like this? Not a single tree would live. I heard from the expert we invited last time that these trees are precious, but the prerequisite is that the trees must grow. Many of our trees are not suitable for our environment here, and many are only suitable for growing in the south." So the expert took a glance and then went back. We asked them how they could raise these trees, and they said if these trees could be raised on the ranch, remember to tell them and they would come to broaden their horizon, sister. They joke that we have no culture. Dad. Just smile, we won't lose a piece of meat. Our pastoral area is especially west now, with severe desertification. These experts don't have a good solution. We have to find our own way, but we've been deceived. Who are we going to argue with? Batadoji listened to his family talk about these trees, and at that time, his parents were fooled by the sapling dealer's pancake painting and went limp. Spending a huge amount of money to introduce these precious saplings, there are nearly 10,000 saplings covering various plant families. At that time, my parents had already been brainwashed and would not listen to anyone's advice. They thought that as long as these precious trees were planted and survived, they might have considerable research value. They could prevent and control desertification and consolidate soil erosion in pastures. Secondly, there is considerable economic value, which is equivalent to investing, and unlike virtual products such as stocks, these precious trees are visible investments. So at that time, parents ruled out public opinion and spent a huge amount of money to introduce more than 10,000 precious trees. The two even invited experts to inspect the trees for this purpose. The experts also saw so many precious trees for the first time and confirmed that they were all very precious and rare trees without any problems. Upon hearing that he was preparing to plant on his own ranch, the expert walked away in a huff, promising to run around the ranch naked if the planting could survive. Batadoji's parents don't believe in this evil, how can they not plant live trees? Careful care every day, just like taking care of newborn calves, involves either watering or fertilizing, rotating cow manure, sheep manure, horse manure, camel manure, and dog manure one by one. It is also a scientific planting learned online, arranged in rows very neatly, with each tree spaced apart, front and back distances, etc. Carefully arranged. After taking care of them for a whole 2 years, the parents finally exhausted all their patience and hope and admitted to the failure of the planting. Starting from this year, let it go and let it go. Batadoji. Dad, Mom, I'm just a dead horse acting as a living horse doctor. Maybe it's because you watered and fertilized too frequently before that you didn't feed me. Now it's been sitting here for a few months, maybe I'll water it and come back to life, maybe. Dad. You will receive the blessing of eternal life. Auntie. Blessed by Bodhisattva, Zasadal. Batadoji thought to himself. If these trees can really be saved, it will be the credit of the system. The whole family had a big dinner together. After dinner, the sisters cleared up the tableware, and Batadoji went to feed the livestock and drink the well water. Since the system says that the well water is rich in mysterious substances and can promote the growth and development of organisms, it's okay to drink more. So Batadoji, whether for himself or for the animals, always feeds them once when he has time. The animals have spirits and know that this is a good thing, so they compete to drink it one by one. Returning to my room and lying in bed, I thought about my many big moves today. I filled the small lake with water and watered a piece of sand. These were 2 experiments. If they were really the same as I thought, I would definitely have to put in a lot of effort in this area in the future. Of course, I couldn't give up on the precious forest and would continue to water and observe. After all, my family had spent a huge amount of money at that time, and if I could come back alive, I would definitely need to be rescued. Lying in bed and entering the system space, I harvested corn this morning and planted 10 acres of Chinese cabbage myself. It is now growing well and will be harvested tomorrow morning. Today, I tried planting corn in the system space without any difference from the corn in the real world. This allowed Batadoji to let go of his inner worries, fearing that something different might happen. It's very good now, everything is the same, as long as you are careful, there are basically no loopholes. The more people carry big secrets, the more they need to pay attention to various details, otherwise it is easy to arouse suspicion from others and lead to big trouble. Batadoji has been a delicate-minded person since childhood. Chapter 6. System Tasks. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Batadoji logged out of the system, regained consciousness, and took out his phone to watch the news. Since the ranch is far away from urban people, Batadoji can only learn about the outside world through mobile phones and the internet. Looking at the recent news and the colorful outside world, it's false to say no to envy, but Batadoji has now calmed down and no longer has the same urgent thoughts as before. As the saying goes, with food in hand, one should not panic. Now that one is holding a wall-hanging system, there is no need to envy others. In the future, perhaps only others will envy, and hate themselves. Batadoji, feeling drowsy, put down his phone and quickly fell asleep. After all, I've been busy all day and it's not easy. After a full sleep, I felt like Batadoji. When I woke up, the first thing I did was to go to the system space, harvest the cabbage, then plant grass and water it. The whole system was completed with just a wave of my hand. Then Batadoji drank well water and washed himself. Taking advantage of the situation, he secretly replaced all the water used in the ranch with well water in the system space. I quickly fed the livestock with well water again. After this series of tasks are completed, the family also wakes up, the aunt is making breakfast, and the father is also preparing before grazing. The family quickly had breakfast and started a busy day again. After feeding the sheepdog, Batadoji drove the cattle and sheep to graze, while the work of other family members was not easy at all, even heavier than Batadoji's. The parents should lead the sisters to clean all the livestock pens together, keep them clean, and pick up the dung of cattle, horses, camels, or it will damage the growth of pasture. Batadoji drove the livestock to the designated location, kept the shepherd dog, and himself drove the horse to the precious tree. He continued to observe carefully, and after using the well water in the system space to water the trees in the past 2 days, the withering and lifeless twilight of the trees has stopped. At least the situation has not worsened, which is good news. To revive the vitality of trees, it is definitely necessary to irrigate them with well water for a long time, which cannot be achieved overnight. Batadoji no longer studies the changes in trees and directly activates the fountain mode, spraying well water while walking in this artificial forest composed of precious trees. After quickly watering the well, Batadoji didn't dare to water it too much, otherwise it would be easy to drown the trees. Continuing on to yesterday's small lake, I saw that the water level was slightly lower than yesterday. It was okay, I had nothing but a lot of well water. I continued to inject well water, and this time I directly filled this small lake. Continuing on to yesterday's small piece of sand, I saw that the sand had all become one piece at a time. It's okay, just keep spraying well water and it's over. Once again, flood this sandy area with well water, let the water soak the sand and see the final changes. However, the sand also needs time to improve in the long term, and it is not possible to see immediate results. The grass that was sprayed with well water yesterday grew well, and looking at the lush green patches, the changes were the greatest. However, it is also normal. The introduction of well water is rich in mysterious powers that can promote the growth and development of organisms, and its effect on grass is definitely not wrong. Continuing to ride the horse while moving the fountain, Batadoji prepared to spend a few days watering the entire pastoral area with well water without blind spots. However, this is just too tiring. My lightning has been exhausted in the past 2 days, and I feel like I'm not running as fast as yesterday. Today, let lightning hold on for a while. Tomorrow, we need to think of another way. Otherwise, we don't have to do anything else like this every day. The key is that we can't get busy, and it's not a long-term solution. I am also planning to water the pastoral area every few days, which will definitely have greater benefits. But this tool is a big problem. It would be best to have a helicopter that can be used to pour it in a day, but currently we don't have it at home. In the future, we can consider buying one. Alas, forget it, ask the system and see if there are any good suggestions. Let's be a dead horse and live horse doctor. Batadoji. System, can you hear it? System. Ding, always serve the host. This is Batadoji's first time communicating with the system in the real world, using his thoughts to communicate, which is also quite good. Batadoji. System, do you have any tools that are more efficient? I ride horses and water too slowly. System. Yes, there are drones in the system space that can complete this task. Batadoji. Drones. How much well water can they carry? I estimate the efficiency is not as fast as riding a horse. System. Ding, the drone provided by the system contains a mysterious device that can directly use all items in the system space, such as well water, which can enter the drone directly with the host's authorization. Batadoji. So advanced. What are you waiting for? Take out the drone. System. Ding, the drone has been released and can be retrieved by the host at any time in the system space. Upon entering the system space, Batadoji realized that there was indeed a drone floating in the air. With just one move, the drone fell into the hands. After some research and experimentation, the drone provided by the system is still very powerful. Firstly, there is infinite energy without the need for charging, which is equivalent to a perpetual motion machine. Secondly, drones can directly mobilize well water and crops in the system space, allowing them to appear directly inside the drone. The third drone has an automatic cruise control system, which is very intelligent. As long as you set it up yourself, it can operate automatically. The fourth drone contains high-definition cameras and can even see small ants in the sand from a height of several hundred meters. Finally, drones have technologies such as automatic focusing, automatic following, automatic capturing, and a device that can directly broadcast live broadcasts. This is a black technology combination. First, connect the drone to your phone for easy operation. This drone looks pretty good for live streaming. System. Ding, considering that the host has received the drone provided by the system, it is assumed that the host has received one of the system's series of tasks. Live streaming of the daily life of a rancher. As the future world's greatest rancher, how can no one know? The first phase of the task is now released, with an uninterrupted live broadcast for 100 days. The host must adhere to live streaming 24 hours a day, and the person's appearance time should not be less than 8 hours. Batadoji. System task. Is there still a task now? If the system comes out, what consequences will there be if I don't do this task or don't complete it? System. Tasks usually have relatively generous rewards, and the host triggers a series of tasks, which are very rare tasks. Each stage has rich rewards. If the host does not complete them and the system determines that they have failed, the reward item drone will be retrieved. Batadoji. Oh, it's just a matter of reclaiming relevant rewards. It's understandable that you can't get something for nothing, pay according to your work. That's the same thing. System. The host can understand it this way. This task is quite sudden and requires high demands. It requires 24-hour daily live streaming, and I must appear on screen for no less than 8 hours. That means I can avoid appearing on screen for 16 hours. Looking at it the other way around, it feels much more comfortable. People need to learn to think from different perspectives, not to focus on one direction and get stuck in every corner. Chapter 7. Starting live streaming. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Alas, there's no way. This drone is too important for both our own ranch and ourselves. No matter what, we can't let the system recycle it. We rely solely on this drone to transform our ranch. Batadoji. System, as long as I start live streaming, right? There are no other requirements, are there? System. As long as the host performs daily live streaming on the registered live streaming platform of the system, please note that the live streaming cannot be stopped, and the host's appearance time cannot be reduced. Batadoji is dumbfounded. Will this system still register its own account? I used to think that if it didn't work out, I could just hang up on a small live streaming platform and it would be over. But now that the system is ready for everything, there's no room for me to play my part. What else do you have to say? Just start the task directly. Batadoji. System, how can I start live streaming? System. Ding, the host confirms that the live broadcast has been started. The live broadcast has been started. The system has enabled live streaming, and also gave Batadoji a black phone to view live streaming information, and so on. Batadoji studied the phone, and it goes without saying that it is also a black technology produced by the system. The appearance is beautiful, atmospheric, and high-end, with a powerful core and advanced black technology. Looking at the drone slowly taking off again, following right above his head, Batadoji tried to take a few steps. Hey, it really followed automatically. Take out the phone provided by the system, open it and see that the live broadcast is running on the screen. It can be considered as the largest short video and live streaming platform, currently undergoing live streaming. When you look at the name of the live streaming room, it's called Daily Live Streaming Room for Farm Owners. The name is quite appropriate, but I don't know if anyone will be watching it. Looking at the data in the live broadcast room again, there is not a single person. Forget it, I didn't originally plan to live stream, mainly to complete system tasks. It doesn't matter if there is anyone, just consider it as the price of obtaining a drone. Soon, Batadoji assumed there was no live broadcast and set the automatic cruise range of the drone on his phone, then had the drone spray well water throughout the entire pastoral area. From a distance, the drone looks like an inverted fountain, spraying a large amount of well water from the bottom and then sprinkling it onto the land in the pastoral area. The grass sprayed with well water feels greener and greener. The drone is very fast, and after flying far away, there is still a faint mist in the air. After being exposed to sunlight, the mist becomes colorful and beautiful. It seems that in the future, there is no need to worry about watering the pastoral area with grass. Batadoji has put more energy into other parts of the pastoral area. Currently, there are still many problems in his own pastoral area, and the first and foremost one is the management of sandy land. Due to the huge area of his pastoral area, there are also many sandy areas inside. In addition, there are several forests in my own ranch, all of which are wild trees that are easy to grow, such as poplar, pine and cypress, and so on. The scale varies, and there is a piece of sand between the two largest forests, covering nearly 100 acres, which is not small. Batadoji came here to observe carefully, and then irrigated the entire area with well water. The desertification in this area is a bit severe, and only a few scattered small grass can be seen in the whole area, while the rest are mostly sand and stones. After watering the well with water, Batadoji looked at the place and wondered what could be done there. How to make use of this place. Wild forests have no value and are definitely not considered for expansion. The artificial precious tree forest on the other side of the pasture is also not suitable for relocation. Or build a goat pen here. Separate goats from sheep. This can be considered. Goats already eat leaves, which is more suitable here. It's also troublesome to change the goat pen, as it's too far from home and unsafe. What else can we do? It's a bit useless to hold such a big cheat. Take out your phone and browse the internet, I have no idea. Brushing through short videos, one of them caught Batadoji's attention as a breed of fierce dogs. Mainly about how many, and powerful his fierce dogs are. When Batadoji clicks on the other party's account, he will see a stream of short videos full of large dogs, as well as some fierce dog competition videos. Batadoji looked at some of the others' fierce dogs, which looked quite nice, but they were all kept in cages, which was different from the concept of his own shepherd dog on the ranch. Animals also need exercise. Even if a fierce dog is kept in a cage for a long time, it may lack strength and become short of breath and weak. The shepherd dogs in their own ranch have to graze every day, and they have to run dozens of miles at least every day. Participating in this fierce dog competition is still easy to catch. You can pay attention to this, and if there is a chance in the future, we can also go and play. Then I came across some breeding videos, one of which caught Batadoji's attention and introduced deer farming. The video says that raising deer is very valuable, and the deer's entire body is mostly precious. Deer antlers, deer blood, and so on are all medicinal herbs. Deer meat is rich in nutrients, and deer skin is a high end for a material. Anyway, deer's entire body is precious, but the breeding conditions are relatively strict, requiring both forests and pastures. This feels pretty good, it's quite valuable. And the breeding conditions at home are definitely not a problem. quickly investigate the value of deer and information on breeding conditions. After taking a look, it really has a very high economic value, but the breeding conditions are also very strict. You need to apply for a wild animal domestication and breeding license and a wild animal operation license from the forestry department. However, I don't need them at home because the environment here is special, and I already have these certificates. Raising deer is definitely necessary, but this place is not suitable. I just saw the information that it is best to raise deer in a grassland and water source area, and it is also best to find a place with a lake to raise deer. For Batadoji now, having a system like a golden finger, and being a ranch system, he will definitely develop himself through ranching in the future, so breeding is his foundation. And don't forget, you have a systematic space. When the time comes, using mysterious well water or mysterious fruits to cultivate animals can definitely bring about a significant change for them. Not to mention evolution, at least it can also improve their physical fitness. And most importantly, my system is currently only at level 0. When I reach the full energy point and upgrade the system, maybe I can really optimize the animal population. When the time comes, we will also cultivate a new variety of animals such as cattle and sheep, called Batadoji cattle, sheep, horses, etc., and we will also do a meat quality rating. These things may seem distant, but with the system as a cheat, these things are actually not a dream to achieve, and can be achieved quickly. Continuing to investigate deer farming for a while, I realized that since I want to engage in farming, I might as well search directly for the best animal farming currently available. Wow, there's a bunch of recommendations coming out. There are all kinds of animals, but generally speaking, animal husbandry is mainly focused on cows, sheep, horses, camels, and there are also many who talk about raising deer. As for other types of animals, such as chickens, ducks, geese, rabbits, etc., they are not very suitable. However, ducks and geese can be considered for breeding, mainly because there are many lakes in the pasture, and there are also some lakes that have already been dried up. Now, as long as you fill them with water, they can be used. I also saw recommendations for raising ostriches. I don't understand, check it out. Hey, this is also good. Raising ostriches requires sandy and rocky land, with grass as the main feed and other refined feed as supplements. This doesn't require any external purchases, there are plenty of our own ranches. We need a sand and stone field, isn't this the best place already available? Chapter 8. Expansion of Ranch Animal Farming. You are listening at novelfull.audio. It has been decided that for these two animals, our own ranch needs to introduce them for breeding. Moreover, the several animals currently raised in our own ranch need to be expanded, and such a large area cannot be left idle or wasted. And the system is designed to be used in conjunction with the ranch, otherwise there wouldn't even be room for the system to function. After checking the information for a while, Batadoji quickly determined the direction of breeding on the ranch in the future. That is comprehensive development, otherwise it wouldn't even match the name of the live broadcast room given by the system. By the way, think of the live broadcast room and take a look at the current situation. When I opened the live streaming platform, I saw that there was no change. Someone had come in and left, but it was still deserted. Batadoji didn't pay much attention either. Soon, the drone flew back, indicating that the task of spraying well water had been completed. After checking the time, it took a total of 2 hours for the drone to spray well water on the entire pastoral area, which is not bad. In the future, if drones come here once a day, the ranch will definitely get better and better. Batadoji adjusted his drone to live stream cattle and sheep, while he returned home to discuss his previous ideas with his parents. He couldn't do it on his own because he didn't have any money. And no matter what, it requires a large amount of financial support. Batadoji also discovered a benefit of drone live streaming, which is that he can watch real-time updates on his own cattle, sheep, and other animals through the live broadcast room. Places that can be understood whenever you want to. It can also be considered as remote monitoring in another sense. Quickly returning home, I found my parents who were working and called them home, saying they had important matters to discuss. My parents are also feeling nervous about Batadoji. I don't know what happened again. I still remember last time Batadoji called the two into the house like this and expressed his idea of going out to develop a big city. I don't know what happened this time. Didn't we say last time that we couldn't figure out how to go to the big city? Both parents looked nervously at Batadoji, waiting to see what he said. Soon, Batadoji also sat down and saw his parents looking quite nervous. Knowing that they were even more nervous, he quickly spoke up about the topic of developing in a big city. Dad, Mom, don't worry. If I promise to focus on developing in the ranch, I won't break my promise and leave the ranch. Don't worry. Dad. As long as you can focus on developing on the ranch, Dad will promise you anything. Auntie. Yes, as long as you focus on working on the ranch, we promise you everything. Batadoji is somewhat humorous and also somewhat moved. Parents do indeed give their children for free. I used to be stubborn myself. Now is not the time to think about these things. Adjusting my mindset, I solemnly spoke up. Dad and Mom, I have decided to develop our own ranch well. Currently, there are still too few animals raised in the ranch. After so many years of development, the quality of the livestock we raise is actually very good, but it's just too few. From now on, we will no longer sell any livestock, and we will still introduce some better quality livestock from outside to expand the scale of breeding. It will take about 2 years to complete this task, and we also need to cultivate our own unique high-quality varieties. Whether it's cattle, sheep, horses, camels, etc., we need to cultivate our own brand new varieties. Only in this way is the long-term development plan. Also, today I went to see the sandy area between the two forests in our ranch, which covers an area of about 100 acres. The area is not small, so it's a pity to waste it like this. I looked online and found that ostriches need this kind of place, with sand and stones, and they are very easy to feed. They mainly feed on grass, which we have at home and do not require external purchases. Moreover, our area is large, and we only need to fence it with iron bars and build a shed. Ostriches have strong adaptability and are not prone to getting sick. Dad. Sure, how many do you want to buy and how much does it cost? Batadoji was preparing to continue persuading his parents, but was interrupted by his father and asked directly how much money he needed. This even stopped Batadoji. Just now, I was just thinking about how to persuade my parents, but I really didn't calculate how many to raise, let alone how much money it would cost. Do you think it's okay to raise 2,000 or 3,000 in such a big place like your own? So Batadoji continued, it shouldn't cost much to buy ostriches, right? I saw online that one ostrich costs about 100 yuan. Let's calculate it based on 200 yuan, and 1,000 ostriches is about 200,000 yuan. Dad. It shouldn't be so expensive. Whether it's livestock or animals, there is a wholesale and retail price. What you see should be the retail price. Wholesale prices are usually not published casually, but can be purchased in large quantities, so there must be a price advantage, not too expensive. This is an ostrich, right? I'll call and ask, and I'll know everything. As he spoke, Dad was about to make a phone call. Batadoji quickly stopped Dad and spoke up. Don't worry yet. I haven't finished speaking yet. Let's ask together when I finish speaking. Auntie. Yes, why are you in such a hurry? Let's wait until the child finishes talking about his thoughts before we talk. Batadoji said, I am optimistic about one animal, which is deer. I think we can also raise deer on our ranch because the economic value of this deer is too high. It is precious everywhere, almost all over the body. With such a large area of our ranch, I think we can also raise deer. After listening to Batadoji's words, the father looked at his son with some relief and spoke. Batu, it seems that you have really grown up and started to truly care about our ranch. You have started to think about the development of our ranch. Dad is very pleased. I don't know about ostriches, but when it comes to deer, your dad and mom have specifically inspected it before. Deer is indeed a good thing, and there is great potential for breeding it. As for why we didn't raise them, it's because our energy is limited. Cows, sheep, horses, and camels have already exhausted our energy. At that time, you were always thinking about leaving the ranch, so your dad and aunt didn't expand the scale of our breeding. Instead, they have been shrinking our breeding scale. In fact, based on the area of our ranch, we still have a long way to go in terms of the maximum breeding capacity we can accommodate. Since you have set your mind on developing the ranch well now, your dad and aunt will definitely support you unconditionally. We will do whatever you say. If you want someone to come out and pay, you can rest assured and act boldly. We are your strong support. Auntie. Your dad is right, Duoji. Don't worry and do it boldly. I will ask your dad to contact the deer and ostrich breeding farms soon. Also, my mom suggests that you can raise more camels and horses. Camels have very high economic value, and horses are the most valuable. As long as you raise a good horse, it can definitely cover the cost of raising 100 other livestock. Chapter 9. Expansion of Ranch. You are listening at Novel Full.audio. Dad immediately took up the conversation after his mother finished speaking and said, "Son, cattle and sheep are our foundation and we cannot give up. When you mentioned expanding the scale of breeding before, I was in favor of 10,000 people, and cultivating our own excellent varieties is also a good direction. I support all of these, there's no problem. When my dad contacts a good person, you can come with me for a run outside these 2 days. I'll show you the way. In the future, our ranch will still rely on you to support and develop, after all, we're all old." Batadoji. Dad, Mom, don't think you're lazy. You're only in your 40s, why are you so old? It was just back then, wasn't it? Auntie. Okay, I'm still waiting to take care of your child. Auntie is still young. Batadoji retreated directly. Next, the whole family mobilized with great enthusiasm. Dad contacted the livestock dealer on the same day and said he wanted to bring in a batch of cattle, sheep, horses, camels, deer, and ostriches. His own ranch wanted to expand its breeding scale. The second dealer was very happy to hear this. Isn't this giving him money? The breeding of these livestock, in order to receive good breeds, must rely on these livestock dealers, because only in this way can we know where there are good breeds and good things. Otherwise, all the products in the breeding farm are mass-produced, and even if there are good varieties, they are kept for sale. After listening to Batadoji's father's request, the second dealer immediately spoke up and said, "Brother Balsi, we haven't been dealing for a day or two. You should be clear about my character in the circle, brother. In this way, give me half a month to ensure that I meet your requirements. If the quality is not good, if my brother doesn't like it, it's all mine. What do you think?" Dad. Sure, Zhao, I believe you, that's why I found you. Please complete it as soon as possible and contact me. The two exchanged business ideas and ended the conversation. Dad. Batu, it's easy to solve the problem of cows, sheep, horses, and camels. Lao Zhao is sure to be able to complete it, but I'm worried that he hasn't operated on deer and ostriches, and the quality he chose is not good, and we don't understand these things. What should we do? Batadoji said, Dad's fine. I've been studying online these days and can roughly determine one person who is good or bad. Besides, you can just leave this to me. That night, my mother quietly called Batadoji into the room, gave him a bank card, and said, Duoji, you have also grown up. There is 100,000 yuan in this bank card, which can be used as pocket money for you. You have also grown up now and have your own ideas. Without money, it's not enough. Batadoji did not show any courtesy to his aunt and took the bank card and carried it in his pocket. I can't do without money now. Many of my plans and ideas need to be implemented and completed with money. The next morning, Batadoji planted grass in the system space. Originally, grass was the most basic crop, but due to the limited number of livestock raised in his own ranch, it was too much to use. But now we are preparing to expand the scale of ranching, so the demand for forage will definitely increase. It is accurate to prepare early now. Coming out of the system space, I glanced at the live broadcast room on my phone. Last night, I had the drone live stream the cattle herd all night, and it is still live now. By setting up on your phone, let the drone live stream the scenery of the ranch in the morning and wake up to wash up on its own. Then, as usual, replace all the water in the pasture with well water in the system space. Feed all the livestock with well water and fine feed, and it's getting busy. It's getting late, and everyone in the family has also woken up. After finishing breakfast and waiting for the shepherd dog to drive all the livestock to the pasture to graze, Batadoji and his father both rode horses to the sandy area between the two forests. Conduct on-site research on how to build an ostrich enclosure, as ostriches cannot be released like other animals and must be kept in captivity. However, the site is too small, so my father, both, decided to use this sandy land entirely for ostrich breeding and enclose it with iron fences. Originally, according to Batadoji's idea, it was to first surround a smaller area, accumulate experience with a small amount of breeding, and then reproduce and expand the scale on its own, but who knew my father had achieved it all at once. Father Balth also took the opportunity to educate Batadoji, saying, "A man should have courage in everything he does, have a small belly and chicken intestines. That's something that women can do." Then the father and son went home and started moving the iron fence to the ostrich pen, using camels to pull the cart. They spent a whole day moving. It wasn't until the sun set in the afternoon that it came to an end, and the two of them were also exhausted. "Hurry up and go home to rest. Let's pile up the fence tomorrow. The pastoral area is like this, doing anything requires one to do it themselves. Besides, our own ranch has a huge area, and even the nearest neighbors have to run for a day, so they probably won't be able to get there. After eating, it is essential to feed the livestock with water and feed every day. Dad and Mom will carefully check the physical condition of the livestock and keep track of it at all times. After finishing these tasks and it's getting dark, go back to your room and rest." Thanks to the drone, I watered that precious tree and sprayed well water on the entire ranch all day. I haven't finished my appearance yet, so I took out my phone and it will take me 3 more hours. Forget it, I have nothing to do now and I'm too tired to move. Let the drone live stream me to sleep, anyway there's no rule on what I do when I'm on camera. Thinking of this, after lying down, I took out my phone and set up a drone to come in and start the live broadcast. Fortunately, this black technology drone is silent and has no sound, otherwise the live broadcast would be too noisy to sleep. Batadoji lay in bed and entered the system space to water the grass once. After exiting the system, he immediately fell into a sweet dream. The next morning, Batadoji and his son arrived at the ostrich enclosure together to pile up and build an iron fence. From morning till night, there was no rest in between. On the first day, only 1/10 of the area was built, and on the second day, it was faster. The entire iron fence took a total of 7 days to complete. The shed inside the fence took another 3 days, and the father and son completed the entire ostrich enclosure from scratch in 10 days. Everything is ready now, only the east wind is owed. Once you purchase ostriches, you can officially start the journey of ostrich breeding. In the past 10 days, all the grass planted in the Batadoji system space has been grass, and now there is already a lot of grass in stock in the system space. At the same time, the system's energy points have also accumulated 13 points, and it will take 87 points or 87 days before the system reaches level 1. It's just around the corner. Meanwhile, there is also good news that the sandy land that has been irrigated with well water in the system space has significantly improved. The ground is no longer so dry and can now maintain a certain amount of moisture. Thorough improvement is not far away. The improvement of the lake is not yet significant, and further observation is needed. The precious trees have not yet moved, and it will take a long time to improve. It is also urgent. Everything is developing in a positive direction. Chapter 10. Purchasing Cattle and Sheep. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Batadoji's joyful expression every day also infected his family. Everyone thought it was because his parents supported his idea and agreed to expand the scale of farming, which was why he was so happy. But how could the family know that the changes in the entire ranch were not just about expanding the scale of farming, but also earth-shattering? The changes from inside out, of course, are not easy to share and can only be enjoyed alone. It was soon time to reach the agreed time with the livestock dealer. Early that morning, Dad Balth received a call from the other party, saying that he would drive over to Pul Balth to pick up the livestock. Dad Balsi asked Batadoji to also prepare and follow him to pick livestock. The father and son packed up properly, and soon the livestock dealer also drove over. Barth. Lao Zhao, you came quite quickly. This is my son Batu, and this is your uncle Zhao. Batadoji. Hello, Uncle Zhao. Lao Zhao. The young man is both handsome and strong. Brother Balth is so lucky. Balth. What kind of good fortune is not good fortune? As long as you are safe and healthy, it is the greatest good fortune. Lao Zhao. Yes, let's set off then. The journey is not short. The three of them set off towards their destination, the nearest live animal trading market. In just over 4 hours, we arrived at the place where the trading market was not big or small. It can't be compared with big markets such as Shihizi or Ili. It depends on where it is compared. Compared with some trading markets in Shandong and Xinjiang, it is much larger than those markets. After all, there are many pastures here, and many people here can raise livestock. The three of them came to the market, where there was everything they wanted in the live animal market. However, Batadoji didn't have much interest in it. There were various breeds of cattle and sheep in his own ranch, and it was not yet clear how much the well water in the system space would greatly improve the animals. The best choice was for the livestock to breed and grow on their own. Turning around, I saw a column of camels, which piqued Batadoji's interest. There were about 70 to 80 camels in total, and what caught Batadoji's attention were a few special camels. Among them, 4 long-haired white camels and 4 tall black camels stand out. Many people are also inquiring about the prices of these special camels near the camel pen, and they are also interested in purchasing these special camels. But the stall owner, who is also the owner of the camels, does not sell them separately. They must buy these 70 or 80 camels together at once. But this column of 70.80 camels is not cheap, and the demand for breeding grounds to buy them back is not small, so this has deterred many interested buyers. Batadoji carefully observed these camels and found that they were all in good spirits, indicating that their health was still good. The other special camels were not diseased, but rather mutated special breeds. After observing for a while, Batadoji made a decision in his heart and pulled his father aside, speaking. Dad, those special camels are not bad. I estimate they are new varieties of mutated camels, and they are 2 different varieties, one black and one white, each with its own characteristics. They are very good. After we buy them back and cultivate them, we can form a new unique variety. Dad. But the camel owner doesn't sell them separately. We need to buy his 70 or 80 camels together. Batadoji said, then let's buy it together. Our camels are already a bit scarce, and we need to expand our breeding scale. We just solved it together. Dad. It's also possible, but I don't know the price. If it's too expensive, it won't be worth it. Let's go ask. Next, the father and son, along with the 3 of Lao Zhao, went to battle and engaged in a fierce price war with the camel owner. In the end, they won with Lao Zhao's strong bargaining power. There are a total of 87 camels in this column, including 8 special exotic camels, 4 black and 4 white camels, and 79 ordinary camels. Lao Zhao was responsible for contacting vehicles to load and transport the camels back to the pasture intact. Next, the father and son continued to move to the market to check for good breeds of livestock. After careful selection, Batadoji and his son purchased a breeding ram. This breeding ram was tall, strong, and majestic, reaching the height of an ordinary beef cow. Its muscles were particularly developed, and its limbs were thick and powerful. The 2 sheep horns grew forward, and its appearance was particularly beautiful. It was also a mutated breed. After some bargaining, take down this breeding ram. The 3 of them continued to look around and then set their sights on a horse, which was exceptionally tall, at least 1.9 meters tall. It was a clear breed of Charcot, but not a purebred Charcot, but it looked tall, powerful, and particularly beautiful. A few people went up to take a look and saw a group of people asking about the situation of this horse. It seems that several people are all interested in it and competing for it. At this moment, the horse owner was surrounded by several people, in a chaotic state. Batadoji saw that this horse dealer not only had this sure horse, but also several other horses. There were 6 solid-colored Arabian horses, 2 black, 2 white, and 2 red, all of which had a small amount of sweat and blood from BMW's bloodline. They looked very powerful and domineering, and had an extraordinary aura. They were definitely good horses. There are several small horses behind the Arabian horse, which should not be too big and relatively small. They are trembling and hiding next to the big horse. There are about 10 horses in total, and their appearance is also vaguely good. When they grow up, they should not be inferior to these few big horses. In addition, there were 3 emaciated horses that looked sickly and emaciated, not very energetic. They should have been sick, but judging from their appearance, they should have been quite beautiful horses. Don't forget, you have magical well water. Well water has a miraculous effect on the illness of animals and plants, and drinking it twice can basically cure it. Batadoji is optimistic that several are competing for that chair horse, and he is not very concerned about the other horses. So Batadoji took a step forward and spoke to the horse owner, saying, "Boss, I'll take all of your horses. Let's talk about it." The owner of the horse looked at Batadoji in confusion, seeing that the young man was handsome and young, so he spoke up to confirm. "Do you want everything? Are you joking? Batadoji. Everyone is so busy, who has time to make such jokes?" The horse owner immediately spoke up and said, "Okay, let's take a step and chat." The other bidders were all unwilling, and together with themselves, they hummed and wetted their mouths for a while. In the end, a half-big kid came and snatched away the Sharma, who regarded them as treasures. It was tolerable, who could not bear it. "Kid, do you understand the rules? Didn't you see me discussing the price with the boss here? Even if I haven't finished my milk, I'm here to grab my business." A middle-aged wee man with a small beard and wearing a white hat spoke to Batadoji. "I'll tell you, kid, if you want to buy a horse, you can talk to us whatever you like. No one cares about you, but if you want to cut off this Charles horse, there's no way out. If you don't want to cause trouble, just leave." Another Uyghur man also spoke up.